The top 10 worst contracts in NBA history. Nothing excites NBA fans more than a new signing. But sometimes, some signings are just a waste of resources. NBA teams are known to offer unpredictable contracts for as long as the player and agent negotiation is made possible. Players with one incredible season can be offered big extensions that they end up not being impressive the next season. Also, we have witnessed NBA teams going the extra mile to sign a basketball player to an extension contract just to keep themselves very competitive, when in reality, the basketball player is nowhere near as good as the money suggests. As it stands, we can't go a single NBA season without having a player in the league signed on a horrible contract, earning outrageous amounts of money for a normal to subpar performance. Get your snacks, drinks, and ball shoes ready. This is going to be one hell of an expensive ride. Let's play full court, baby! Your go-to channel for the most interesting basketball topics. Number 10, Gilbert Arenas. 2008, 6 years, $111 million. To begin the list of the worst contracts in NBA history, it is only judicious we begin with Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas is known as the basketballer who inexplicably brought a pack of guns to an NBA locker room, which got him suspended from the league. But this is not the main reason why this NBA contract ranks in at number 10. Gilbert Arenas was coming off a serious knee injury in the 2007 NBA season, which saw him suit up for just 13 games before the Wizards extended the contract of the former All-Star for 6 years. This was a bad deal, as Arenas lasted only 2 seasons before being traded a couple of times and retired a few years later. The gun incident and story made this NBA deal even worse, as he took guns to the locker room after a gambling spat with his former teammate, Javaris Crittenton. Number 9, Ben Wallace. 2006, 4 years, $60 million. Although Ben Wallace recently became the first undrafted NBA player inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame, and like several great players in the history of the NBA, he got a huge contract that he completely didn't deserve. Big Ben, as he was popularly called, was just 31 years old when the Chicago Bulls felt it was nice to offer him a 4-year NBA deal worth $60 million. While a prime Ben Wallace in the Detroit Pistons was worth this amount thanks to his all-NBA defensive team abilities and floor leadership, Ben was way past his NBA prime by the time he put pen to paper on this one. Ben Wallace didn't last with the Chicago Bulls before he was traded to New Orleans, and later he moved to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Ben Wallace was never a terrible threat by any means, and the moment his defensive abilities began to decline due to attrition and age, this NBA deal became one of the worst ever. Number 8, Allan Houston. 2001, 6 years, $100 million. We certainly can't forget the Allan Houston story. Allan Houston was an all-star NBA player for the Knicks, who might have deserved this NBA contract a few years before he finally signed a contract. At the moment of the deal, Houston was only 30 years old and was a mere complimentary star rather than a franchise basketball player. Still, the Knicks believed they were better off in signing Allan Houston to a whopping 6-year NBA deal. After 2 good NBA seasons, Allan Houston started to decline after a tough knee injury derailed his NBA career. Instead of being that franchise player the Knicks wished he would be, Allan Houston became a huge burden to the franchise as a basketball player in his 30s. The Knicks were blessed that the league involved an amnesty option known as the Allan Houston Rule, which allows for injury insurance payments with several regards to contractual obligations. Number 7, Timofey Mosgov. 2016, 4 years, $64 million. One of the worst contracts handed out in 2016 was Timofey Mosgov for a 4-year NBA deal worth over $60 million. The Lakers also gave Luol Deng a whopping $72 million NBA deal in the same offseason. This was in part due to the cap space they had left due to the fact that the great Kobe Bryant had retired. While it is simple to include Luol Deng here, Timofey Mosgov was just plain unacceptable. Luol Deng was an all-star at some time in his NBA career, while Timofey Mosgov was always an NBA backup center, who was only popular for getting posterized by Blake Griffin and not for his NBA play. Mosgov commenced the 2015 finals out of necessity for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but he wasn't the replacement the Lakers needed after Kobe Bryant finally retired. Mosgov has an NBA career average of 6.8 points per game and 4.9 rebounds per game, which is very low for a player making a huge sum of $64 million. Number 6. Bismack Biyombo, 2016, 4 years, $68 million. Another terrible contract in a string of laughable NBA deals handed out in 2016 was the 4-year deal of the popular Bismack Biyombo. Biyombo appeared like a dominant basketball player for the Raptors in the playoffs as he grabbed a total of 26 boards in Game 3 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Raptors supporters thought they had signed the second coming of the great Dwight Howard, but that was simply not the case. Bismack Biyombo had no offensive capacity, and even his 1.3 blocks per game average is not up to the expectations of a hyped defensive player. Biyombo has an NBA career average of 5.1 points per game and 6.2 rebounds per game, which just goes to indicate that consistency is an important factor in determining a basketball player's value. As horrible as this deal was, 2016 had numerous deals to scratch your head about. Number 5. Joakim Noah, 2016, 4 years, $72 million. Unsurprisingly, the New York Knicks occur on our list again. Let's find out why. Joakim Noah played only 29 games in the year 2015, yet the Knicks attempted to build a super team by signing a former All-Star center, Joakim Noah. People who have good background about the NBA would say Joakim was finished as a starter, yet the Knicks had to sign him up for $72 million. As anticipated, Joakim Noah went on to play under 100 NBA games for them and didn't move the needle one bit. Joakim Noah's body was completely beaten up after his NBA years with the Chicago Bulls. But to make matters worse, he made it clear to the media that he partied a little too much during his Knicks NBA days. The fact that a huge paid basketball player cannot focus is just another indication of how terrible the Knicks organization is run. What's crazy is Joakim Noah's contract wasn't even the worst in 2016. Some contracts on our list would leave you astonished. Number 4. Chandler Parsons, 2016, 4 years, $94 million. One of the worst NBA contracts in 2016 was Chandler Parsons. Chandler Parsons was a good prospect with the Houston Rockets team before the franchise agreed not to pay him, and he later became a member of the popular Dallas Mavericks. Chandler Parsons was looking great with Dallas before a serious knee injury ended his NBA playoff run with them in 2015. Chandler Parsons underwent vital knee surgery before opting to an NBA deal worth a whopping $94 million with the Memphis Grizzlies. Parsons' career will be defined by that Memphis contract in a wild 2016 free agency. The Grizzlies signed him as their missing piece in the grit and grind era, and even though he was coming off a major knee injury and had a history of knee problems, he got hurt again and again, missing 151 games in his 3 seasons with Memphis. Chandler Parsons' deal would certainly not be forgotten, but the fact that he got paid approximately $100 million to not deliver makes this a top 5 worst contract ever. Number 3. Eddy Curry, 2005, 6 years, $60 million. Amazingly, the New York Knicks occur on our list again. Out of desperation to satisfy Knicks fans and create hope, the franchise signed the great Eddy Curry to a 6-year NBA deal despite difficulties with an irregular heartbeat. The Knicks looked past this obvious health concern and even gave away their number 2 pick to ensure that the deal would happen. Fast forward to the incident of Curry's Knicks basketball career, and it is one big mess. Eddy Curry was not the player the Knicks needed, and it was disheartening to see. Eddy Curry completely fell out of the rotation only 3 years later after he hit the scales at over 300 pounds, and he simply couldn't be trusted to be any type of impact player. Though he was a nice post scorer, Eddy Curry was extremely sluggish on defense and had no desire to be a dominant big man. Number 2. Joe Smith, 1999, 7 years, $86 million. We can't mention the worst contracts in the NBA and the name Joe Smith not pop up. Joe Smith's NBA contract is the second worst in the history of the NBA, mainly due to the severe controversy it got. By practically accepting money under the table from the Timberwolves management worth $86 million over 7 years, Joe Smith was in the midst of a big problem in the NBA. The information leaked out and Joe Smith and the franchise were punished by league officials. The Timberwolves lost a total of 4 out of their 5 first-round picks, which destroyed the franchise's desire to build a solid, winning team around superstars like Kevin Garnett. Joe Smith was penalized because he lost all that money and had to settle for a smaller NBA deal. He was the number 1 pick in the 1995 draft, but his inability to monitor his agent killed his likelihood of achieving any sort of NBA greatness. This NBA contract is one of the worst ever in history. Number 1. Bryant Reeves. 1997, 6 years, $61.8 million. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, the NBA contract of Bryant Big Country Reeves in 1997 is the number 1 worst in NBA history. As the popular saying goes, never judge a book by its cover. But maybe the Grizzlies should have actually judged the book by its cover, because Bryant Reeves looked completely out of shape and not in any vital NBA condition to be earning approximately 8 figures. As the number 1 choice in the 1997 draft, perhaps the Grizzlies were committed to keeping their pick locked away by signing him for 6 years. But it came out horribly for the Grizzlies. Bryant Reeves was not in NBA shape by any means, and he ended up retiring after just 395 career games with his team. Reeves was good for his first 3 years in the NBA, averaging a total career high of 16.3 points per game in his 3rd year, before tapering off to only averaging 8.3 points per game in his final year. Concerning overall payout and production obtained, this has to be the worst NBA contract in history. We hope you enjoyed the video topic today. Subscribe to our channel Full Court for more interesting basketball topics.